What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to A Last of Us Season 2, Episode 5, live spoiler discussion review. We are going to be spoiling the hell out of this thing. And I have my good friend Seth joining me once again. Seth, how you doing this week? It's just us two.
Yes.
So, whole
I'm ready to talk.
And we have Wednesday.
Yes. Back in action.
Yes, man.
Or no action.
Yeah, sorry, I kept cutting you off, man. How you been? It's Mother's Day.
Good.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. You excited, dude? This is a good episode.
Stoked. Yeah, it was a great episode. I loved it, and I can't wait to talk about it, honestly.
Same. So if you guys are new here and you're watching this on the replay, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching this for the first time live, awesome. Hit that like and subscribe button as well. We do use the live chat. How we're going to do this show is basically give our first impressions. Then we're going to jump into basically not recapping every little moment, but going through story beats throughout the entire episode, starting with the intro all the way to the outro. Give some predictions for what's going to happen. There will not be spoilers for the game until we mention it. We'll have a little bit of a segment where we get into predictions, things that we really liked. But if it is something that happened in this episode that happened in the game, we will talk about because it's already happened. It's not a spoiler going forward. So with that said, Seth, my first reaction to this was overall, wow. Can't wait to watch this one again. The way that I like to bring in my Last of Us Finashus is this is my favorite story ever told. Last of Us Part 1, Part 2, put them together. It's my favorite story told in any sort of medium, video game, TV, episodes, whatever. So I've been very excited to see how they're going to adapt this. And I mean, we've had thoughts. I've kind of put in perspective that I like each episode. I really like them. I think they're great. But as a whole, and I think it's because I don't know what they're doing necessarily, I feel a tad bit disappointed at certain things. This episode and last, but to be honest, I feel like last episode and this one probably could have been put together, and I would have had no issues with that. I felt this episode was first the closest to the video game that we've gotten yet, not just in terms of what happens, but in terms of gameplay. Also, there were some nice little twists and turns in there that were unique. The stalker sequence, for one, was awesome. Nothing gets under my wife's skin. That scene got under her skin.
Because under mine, it's creepy.
Yeah. I was like, do you think there's going to be more than one? And she goes, oh, maybe 2 or 3. And then you see the 3 or 4. And then they turn around and it's like, oh, no, there's more.
There's more.
So I love that. But the whole episode kind of plays out in a really great way. And I like how it separated Ellie and Dina. Because what Ellie has to do, when Ellie's not with Dina, her true self came out in that moment. And Bella Ramsey not just did an amazing job, but truly enough, this was a great episode. And I say, this is my favorite one of the season. Besides episode 2, I think I'm hand in hand with those. I think this episode just rocked it in terms of pacing, storyline, everything like that. So I'm going to give this episode about a 9.5 out of 10. What about you, man? Your score, your reaction.
Reaction is I absolutely love this episode. I agree with you. There are some things that still kind of bug me, but it's I think the only way they could fix those things is by making the seasons longer and not having them be 6 to 8 episodes. But my score for the episode, I think I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I really loved it, and I don't mind the changes that they made for this episode from the game.
No, I agree. I actually think the changes they made in here, again, make it more just streamlined. That's how these should be. The video game also obviously has to have padding with level design and things like that. So it makes sense. What was your score that you said? Sorry, I was reading
9.
something in the comments.
No, you're good.
9. Okay, perfect. So with that said, guys, just kind of looking in here, it seems like a lot of people were really a fan of this. Mr. Caskell, 5 was great. Woo. Episode 5 was amazing. Leslie says the set design for this episode was immaculate, so accurate to the game. Kaylee says, "Rip Nora." Yeah, we agree with that.
Yeah.
And then Leslie also mentions, and Bella is phenomenal. The whole scene with Nora was so good. Yes. I really had no issues with this. So let's jump into this. We'll talk about the intro to this episode. So Seth, I think our prediction is wrong. The lady who was leading the WLF just seems to be a leader of the WLF, and she is not the Prophet.
But why does
Um,
she look like the prophet in the photo? Because when they
I know
later
she
on in
looks
the
so much
episode,
like it.
she looks exactly like her.
Yeah,
There's something there.
maybe we find out she has a twin. Maybe two of them. Maybe they separate. Maybe one is a part of the. I don't know. I'm making things up. And
Listen, maybe she separated from the Seraphites and they still are clinging on to some hope that
maybe,
she's their savior.
maybe. I dig it. I dig it.
Yep.
Either way, I thought this intro was good. I didn't think it was great.
No.
And if anything was the weakest, I thought this was the weakest of them all. It basically was an exposition for what the spores were.
Yep.
But I will say it's a great Easter egg of seeing that lady talk about what was down there and then seeing her son down there.
Yes.
And I will say we'll talk about a little bit more of this when we get to the spores. I like this interpretation of the spores a little bit more than the game and the
I
way
do
that it's
too.
kind of used. So, what did you think about this intro? Again, out of all the intros that The Last of Us has had, I thought this was the weakest one. Not bad, but also not really needed. It's very much exposition. What about you, man?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was needed in the fact that like to introduce us to spores, but maybe it should have been done earlier on. But I will bring this up later because I do have a concern now that that the spore sequence and everything that came from it brought up for me.
Okay, interesting enough. Well, anyways, the episode starts and it's basically Dina is mapping out a plan. Ellie gets the power back on, which I don't know why every time I've replayed the game and I have to get the power back on, it's just always annoying to me. So I
It's so
like
much
that the
harder
game
in the
was just
game.
yeah. It's just you got to climb out the window, you got to
Mhm.
jump, whatever. So I really like this whole thing, but it really leads into an important discussion where they have this thought of should we just leave now or should we leave later? Like that they just decide fuck it, let's just go now. And as
Mhm.
they go now and they have this great plan, what I was really fascinated with this entire sequence overall was Dina's conversation with Ellie,
Yes.
which from my remembrance and memory, I don't remember this happening in the game. And I love how it ties back to when Dina asked, who was the first person you killed? And Ellie never asked. And now she brings it up, and her whole depiction of it resonates with Ellie and what her journey is, and
Mhm.
also resonates to what Abby's journey was.
Yep.
If someone did that to you, you would go to the ends of earth forever to kill them. And as Dina said, I would have done that exact same thing for them if I didn't find that guy right there. And I love that moment. I thought it was fantastically acted by Isabel Merced. She's been such a standout this entire season. She should 1000% be nominated for an Emmy, a Golden Globe, a SAG, everything across the board. She's so good in this. Who knew Dora the Explorer and Transformers The Last Night would get someone this far?
Yep.
Never thought that a million years, but here we are, man. But for me, I love that moment. I thought it was great. And again, the way that it parallels to Ellie and Abby, I think makes complete, again, very on the nose, sure, but it puts to why Dina is so, I'm doing this. And it adds into that next conversation of you tell me what you want me to do. Do you want me
Mhm.
to go back? Do you think I'm a burden, basically? And Ellie says, no, let's keep going. Seth, what did you think of this whole entire sequence leading up?
So I absolutely love the sequence. And to your point earlier, so that does happen in the game. That conversation does happen, but it's when they're on horseback, and it was like a while back. So in the game, you know, when they're talking and Ellie tells her what she did, it goes into Dina. But in the show, it's a lot different of what actually happened to Dina's family,
Okay.
which I think is better in the show than it was in the game. And honestly, uh, Isabella Merced, like you said, deserves every award because I honestly felt that she was more Ellie in this. Like the anger, you could feel that anger and like her reason for wanting to be there, and I honestly loved it so much.
Hell yeah. I love it. I love it, man. And it's a great moment. And again, it
Mhm.
adds more reason to why are we doing that? Why is
Yeah,
Dina going across this? So either way, they don't know what's in this building that they're going to.
no,
I think to us, we're having guesses. Like my wife's like, do you know what's in the building? I was like, I don't, that's not from the game. Like, I mean, there's things I could guess from. I was like, my guess, maybe a shambler. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's the spores. And then it's quiet, and I'm like, oh shit, we're dealing with the stalkers again. And this moment's tension, I thought, was one of the best built out sequences bar none across The Last of Us. And it's really crazy because they took that criticism of there not being enough infected in season 1 and amped it up
They did.
to no like another level. And it's so funny because like part of me is like, okay, like yeah, that's cool, but like can we get like more story? Also, like, is there not enough budget for that too? Like it's very weird. Like, I don't know if Craig Mazin just doesn't know how to like I don't know the reason. Like it feels like there should be a bit of both, personally, but
It's
I
probably
digress.
Zaslav. He doesn't trust video game adaptions.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that, man. But yeah, like that's like one thing to me is that I'm just very like, okay, either way, whatever. We ended this great sequence where they're like, okay, let's go that way. And they look up and there's one stalker. And you're like, okay, then there's 2 more. Let's just go back the other way. Oh, now there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. And I love how Ellie is like, yeah, I can just get bit as many times as possible. You go hide. You go do your thing. And then of course this entire sequence breaks out, which was great.
Awesome.
So good. Freaking Ellie's like dual wheel, just like cowboying and up, outlaw Josie Wales, man. And then someone pops in to save him. Now, before we talk about who that person was, what do you think of the sequence, man? And who did you initially think that was?
I initially thought it was Tommy.
Yeah.
Honestly, but I honestly like that. Like, it kind of felt like it was Joel, and that's like what they were hinting at. Like, she was wanting it to be Joel. But overall, that sequence was freaking fantastic. Like, seeing the stalkers in the show, they're so terrifying. And I love how like smart they made them. Like they seem smarter in the
And they're
show than they did in the
creepy.
game.
Dude, the
They're
way
so
they're
creepy.
ripping the gate?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like
That's intense.
I loved it, and I honestly am glad that they upped the infected because this is what we needed.
I think it's a bit of what we needed for both. I wanted, bless you. I
Thank
wish
you.
we had more action in the first season
Mhm.
with the same story. As vice versa, I wish we had more story in the second season with a little bit more dialogue with the same amount of action. So either way, this is popping up. And right as that person comes in, my wife goes, "Oh my God, it's Jesse." And I said, "It fucking better be Tommy." And I'm assuming this is the sequence from the game where it's Jesse behind her covering her mouth, and which was a great moment. I like that he's the one that goes in and saves in the end of the day. I was just more of like, where's Tommy? Because if it's just him, and I like how they have the dialogue and more of him being like, just shut the fuck up, let's go. I don't know why you're asking so many questions. Like, followed your map. Is it just you? No, it's me and Tommy. Oh God, you guys sent like a band of people, and they're like, no, we just came up by ourselves to make sure you guys didn't get each other killed. Right? That's when my baby was screaming. So that's what I assumed, and that's what they said. Okay. Either way, what do you think? Are you happy it's Jesse? Are we happy finally that Tommy is in fucking Seattle, but they're separated?
I'm happy Tommy's in Seattle finally. I still don't think we see him until the last episode at this point now, which I'm really upset about. But it makes sense to have Jesse there.
100%, yeah.
Especially because like you said, you kind of seem like you see that he's angry at Ellie, and it's just like they're both kind of like vying for Isabella Merced Dina's trust there. And like you can tell that like they both want the best for her. And Jesse's like, well, what the hell are you doing here? Like, why did you bring her into this situation? Like, we need to protect her. And so it makes sense that it's Jesse.
Yeah, and he's pissed. I mean, he's pissed that he has to be there. But I have to say, as much as he's pissed to go there, and save them, my gut says Tommy's going, nah, this is my reason. I'm going to kill everyone. Yeah. And I really hope that's the thing that we get. Now, I will structure it this way. If for some reason we don't see Tommy next episode, or if we do, say he shows up at the theater, I hope in season 3, when we get Abby's little perspective, I don't think that's a spoiler to say at this point. I think most people know that's going to happen. I hope the Seattle Grim Reaper is heading around. Too, especially. So, really like that. But of course, they start running away and they get to the park. The second I saw that park thing, I got PTSD from the game.
Yes.
Because this is your introduction to the scars like you saw hints of them, but this is the first time you ever have to deal with them in the game. And for the most part, it's 1-for-1. It's like in the game, you're watching them basically torture someone.
Yep.
And I love that they kept that. And my wife, again, not squeamish, not like, she sees them cut that dude right open and she goes, ugh. And
Yeah.
our kids just staring right at the TV. I'm like, not the best thing for you to watch. But you
What's with
don't pay
them?
attention to anything.
What's with them dissecting people? Like in the
Yeah.
tower, their guts were hanging out. Now
Yeah.
their guts are hanging out
They
again.
gotta
Like,
feel her love, right?
Yep.
Feel her love. What do you think of this entire park sequence? I mean, Dina gets hit in the leg. Second I saw that, I was like, Ellie's probably like, bye, Burden. Bye.
Yep.
Bye. Goodbye, Burden. No, I love that moment because what this initially ran my thought when he said, okay, take him back to the theater, I'll meet you there. No, that's not what Ellie was thinking. Ellie said, fuck your bitch. We're going to kill Nora.
Yep. We're on a mission.
Yeah, what do you think of the park sequence, man? How do you feel about it from the game and stuff like that?
I liked it. I feel like I wish we had a little bit more time to like digest that scene and see just how evil, like more evil that they are. But overall, like it was disgusting and brutal. And I love that we're seeing like both sides. Obviously, you have like the wolf being this like horrible group, and now we're really getting into the Seraphites being this evil group. So I'm excited to see what's ahead here.
Me too. I think that's where I'm like really fascinated with this is the pacing for this episode is very fast. And I think there are smaller moments like this where I would have liked if they had gotten away.
Yep.
And then it was slowly linger. It's like they got into the park. They're like, they're not coming. Can't be infected. Whistling. It feels like the episode is very moving very quickly. Yep. And that's a lot of this season. I was talking to Cody earlier before the episode premiered, and he's like, honestly, my biggest issue is just how fast the season feels.
It's so fast.
And I think, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, it just feels like sometimes I feel like they should linger. I know the game's very hard to adapt. It's just, it's interesting to me.
I mean, it's hard to like have that meandering, but like there's other ways I feel like the show should adapt that, like to make these sequences last longer. Like the next part of the episode that we're going to get into, like that felt so rushed to me. And I'm like, there's no way you get from point A to point B so quick, but it's like, it makes sense because it's a show and you're not walking around as a character in a video game, but I feel like they can do better. And I think by doing that, making the season longer.
Yes. So that's where at the end of last episode, I assumed, okay, we're going to get all the way to Nora, do whatever. And when we got to Nora, like, again, like you mentioned, it was very quick. I'm not saying I needed like Ellie to like sneak around like the game or anything like that.
No.
Which, like, for the most part, you're outside the base, you sneak in, you go in, they have their conversations, boom. And it goes. And basically, again, the dialogue is almost 1-for-1.
Yep.
Before we get to when they start running, I wish this is where I think having the other perspective, Abby's perspective, her friends' perspectives per day, I think really would help this season.
Yep.
Because as this shit's going on with Ellie and she's doing this, you are gaining appreciation for these characters. I don't know how is that something that you feel like they should be doing? Is that like it should just be like Abby's crew is what we're focusing on in this, like going back and forth basically on each day?
I think they should, because I mean, we haven't seen Abby since episode 3. Was that right?
Episode 2. Now.
Yes, episode 2. So it's like for us to care about her and like care about the situation, it's like we need more of her and more like reasons to get to know her, and we haven't had that. And I think if we're gonna go into season 3 and it's a whole season on Abby, I feel like that's gonna lose everyone's interest,
except for the people who played the game.
Yeah,
basically, like, and that's a whole huge thing. I had coworkers asking me like, "Oh, like there's another season. Like, what's gonna happen?" I'm like, I don't even want to tell you.
Yeah,
it's like you're not gonna be happy. Like, but Anyways, the sequence plays out great. Tatia Gabriel, is that her
Yeah,
name?
Tati
She's
Gabriel.
great.
Yep.
She's great in this moment, so is Bella Ramsey. Like I like the sinisterness that she's really having to Nora, because we know in the end of the day, if Nora, no matter what Nora tells uh, Ellie, Ellie's gonna kill her
Yep.
regardless. Does not matter. But I love how it plays out, basically like from the game, and they start
Mhm.
sprinting through the hospital. Ellie's getting shot at, all these things, and the B2 drops down. Now, I wish Ellie would have tackled her. I like the game how it pushes them
Mhm.
down in there. Regardless, whatever, they're in there. And what this gave was a great introduction to the spores. Now, I know you had thoughts on this. I want to say one thing of what I really liked about the spores was that they basically made it another infected.
Yep.
Because in the game, when people are attached to the wall, they're dead.
Mhm.
I like that in this, they're breathing. They're the ones letting out the spore, and in a way, they are the craftiness. Now, I will say, I know you've been calling the Rat King this season. I thought for a second we were going to get it. I genuinely thought, I think they're doing it. Maybe they are going to introduce Ellie first, and then Abby is the one that, in the end of the day, takes out the Rat King. I don't think the Rat King dies. By the way, just throwing it out there, like, if people don't know what the Rat King is, we'll leave it at that. I know we'll talk a little bit, probably spoiling a little bit of the game. You don't know what the Rat King is. We'll just leave it at
Mhm.
that. But I guess I'm going too far in the game, so I'll leave it at that. Talk about your spore thing, man. And then we'll get to
Well,
that final two moments.
it was kind of about the Rat King, because like the conversation that they had at the beginning of the episode, it was like they're just gonna stay down there and like, you know, be infected. And I thought that's where this was heading.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I don't want to say anymore now, because like obviously it's spoilers for the
We're
game.
gonna yeah, we'll talk about the game in a second
Yeah.
then.
So I don't
So,
want to say more than that.
but what do you think of the production design and stuff like that? I
Oh,
thought that was great.
it
So
was
good.
awesome. I loved how the spores looked. I loved it. Honestly, reminded me of like Annihilation, when they're
Yeah.
like when they go down into that like pool, and it's like on the wall, and it's like
Mhm.
it's still living. And honestly, I gotta feel bad for those infected, because like those people are stuck down there forever, just breathing in and putting out spores. Like that is the worst way to go in that universe, probably.
Yeah, I'll even throw this. I was very what I loved was Bella's performance in this, because it's like she's fascinated.
Yeah.
Because she can just sit down there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't know it is. She doesn't know that the spores can infect you or anything, but it's more of a curiosity thing, which we got a little bit of in season 1 when she finds the one infected like under the rubble, and she like stabs it and plays with it basically. And as a 19-year-old, I mean, you basically do the same thing too. So
Mm-hmm.
I really like that, but then it builds up to the Nora sequence.
Yeah.
Almost perfect. I wish we would have gotten the line, and Leslie also says it. I wish we would have gotten Ellie saying how she can make Nora's death easy or so much worse. I think there's a
I
pro and
agree.
con to that. I think the line is so good, but I also think Ellie doesn't care at this
Mm-mm.
point. At least in that moment, I'm gonna do whatever, and that's my thing. Did she even get any information about Abby out of her,
No.
or did she kill? Because in the game, I think she does. If
I
I'm
don't remember. It's funny because I just played that a few weeks ago. That scene,
Yeah,
but I'm
I think
pretty
she gets
sure.
pointed in the right direction.
Yeah,
I think like more of like she's, or like I think Nora says she's probably with Owen or something like that.
she
Like,
says something, but doesn't like actually say like enough. It's just like
mhm.
left for
Like
interpretation.
she's been missing. Like
Yeah.
she's gone, which we know at this point she's with Lev. So,
Yes.
which again,
Later.
you don't know who the fuck Lev is, so it doesn't that matter.
No.
Either way, I thought this moment was great. I love when she got the rebar. I wish it was a little bit more brutal, I'll say. Like, I think some of these early reviewers talking about the season were like, this season is so fucking brutal. And I'm like,
It's not.
I don't know if I'm just desensitized. Like, you? Like, what do you think?
I feel the same. I think the only thing that's been like really brutal are the Seraphites, and like seeing them like freaking like gut people. But that it's like it's not as like insane as I thought it was gonna be. Like, but to be fair, like I don't know. We had Joel's like pretty brutal death. So it's like seeing somebody else get their face smashed in might be a lot for some people.
Yeah, that's true. Leslie says Nora tells Ellie she's in the aquarium. She goes back to the theater and points it out of the map. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. This is,
Leslie.
this is why we do it live, so people can
Yes.
correct me in real time. So, either way, gray moment cuts to black, and we see Ellie laying down. And I said, "Goddamn, Pedro gonna walk in,"
Mm-hmm.
and sure as shit, he does. Which I imagine this ties into the next episode, the museum.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, which I didn't even get to mention Ellie playing the guitar and singing "If I Were to Ever Lose You." I
Mm-hmm.
assume we're also getting that. I imagine episode 6 is basically all the flashbacks.
Yep.
Him singing "Future Days," the museum, the Eugene stuff, and her finding out, because that conversation with Nora was a lot longer than was in the game.
It
Like,
was.
Nora's like, "You're her," and I love that realization. I loved it in the game, and I love it here. But it's also not just that. It's the fact that she's like, you don't understand. He killed everyone. And I like how first Ellie plays it off like, "I don't care."
Yeah.
I mean, she goes, "I know what he did. I don't care." Like, I don't care. Which now to the audience, they're like, "Oh, so she knows. When did she find that out?" I'm assuming next week's episode is when
Mm-hmm.
we're going to see that sequence play out. But that line, I will say, I don't know if I like that Nora says he killed Abby's dad. I don't know if that was needed. I kind of like that. Doesn't really matter why,
Yep.
But regardless, what about you, man? What did you think of that whole entire conversation that changed, and then of course that busy ending?
I loved it. I liked the conversation, and we finally like see Ellie's true rage, and I feel like uh Bella Ramsey encapsulated that character from the game into the show just perfectly in that moment. And like I I like that we saw Joel's anger. We've seen Isaac's anger, and now we've seen like Ellie go full on somebody. And I like that they're showing like all like in this world, not all of these people are good people. Like there is serious evil in them, and I'm really excited to see where it takes us.
Exactly. It's so like just gravitates you, and it's very interesting. So I guess with that said, let's get into our predictions, which go hand in hand with the game stuff.
Yep.
So spoilers for the game. I'm gonna put up a banner. So if you've never played
Spoilers.
the game, be safe, be wary. Also, please start throwing in some of your questions. We'll get to those in a second. I already see that some are flowing in. But either with that, Seth, I'll let you take it away. What were some things from the game that you wish were here? What things do you think are coming up? What predictions do you have for next week's episode? I know we keep saying it's the flashback one. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
I think it's just a flashback episode. I think we get Tommy. I do wish that we had Tommy in some sense in this episode, but I think they're saving that either for the end of next week's episode or the beginning of the next one. And then in regards to things that like didn't really make it, I think everything from the game translated well into this episode. And the thing I was trying to talk about earlier with the Rat King, um, I didn't. So like I was trying to say is like how when they had that opening conversation in the beginning of the episode, they're like, well, now they're stuck down there. I thought it like when they were going to go down to that basement, they were going to see this like horrible looking figure from being down there and being stuck in there
Yeah.
for so long. And then they mentioned like they're just down there with the rats. That was one of the lines that they said in the sentences. So I was
I
like,
mean, it
oh,
has to be building up towards that, right?
it does. But like, if both of them were in there and they saw the people were still alive, like how, like, are we not going to get the Rat King now? Like that's my concern.
I would be pretty shocked if they don't do it next season.
Yeah.
Very shocked. Like, I don't know if we'll. There's a question here about the Shamblers, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever get the Shamblers.
No.
Because it's basically just a bloater.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be shocked.
It's such an important part.
Yeah. Like, but then I'll also say this. There is no way in fucking hell that this version of Abby will kill the Rat King.
No.
No way in hell. I am so like I love Caitlin Dever. No.
No.
No, 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 no.
She gonna need her whole army behind her.
Yeah, yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. But anything else you want to mention from the game that you're kind of just like piecing together? Any other predictions for next week?
Honestly, like you said earlier, like these last two were so close to the game that I think the direction we're heading is a good one. Tommy, where the hell's Tommy? Give him to me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna assume this episode. Okay, so this is kind of where I'm thinking. Next episode's a full flashback.
Yeah.
It maybe the last 5 minutes, Ellie wakes up or whatever. She's at the theater, and it leads us into the finale. But it is gonna be a full flashback. I
Hmm.
think whether it's all in the same day, which I doubt. I doubt she has the museum and then she finds out about everything. But I imagine it takes place over like I could see them doing it in 3 different flashback kind of things. First flashbacks right when she wakes up, he teaches her to play guitar, does some lesson. And
Hmm.
it's like day 1, day 2, day 3, just like Seattle, day 1. Or like instead of day 1, day 2, day 3 from Seattle, it's like year 1, year 2, year 3. So the end of year 2, museum, birthday adventure, that'll be a majority of the episode. 100% a majority
Hmm.
episode. And if we do not get, I will fucking be pissed. There's no way they leave this out of this. The rocket scene.
Yes, they can't.
I know it's in the trailer. I'm pretty
Yes,
sure this is in. I need that moment
me
because
too.
that moment is like my favorite thing from the game. It might be my favorite moment of the entire game. Then you get into that final flashback, which is going to be everything with Eugene. But I also think she finds out that same day about what happened because from
Hmm.
the trailer, it doesn't seem like they go back to the hospital when they're having that conversation. So, which is fine. She does not need to go all the way to the hospital for that.
No.
It's okay to have it here. Maybe they find. Remember? Do you remember when they're clearing out the hotel and they go in there and she finds paperwork and notes?
Oh yes, yeah.
I always thought that that's where she'll find out in the game, and she doesn't. But it would
Hmm.
be interesting if maybe she finds Firefly stuff there, and they bring up what he did. And then
Oh,
it
that would be
leads into
cool.
that, and that's how that comes up because then it doesn't become as repetitive, and then something happens, and this is where I think the finale is going to go. Ellie's going to find no, maybe Ellie finds out about the aquarium, whatever it may be, but they're going to find out that Tommy's in danger on the radio, and that's where it's going to lead us in the finale of them going to find Tommy, and however that may happen, Ellie
R.I.P.
is going to. I think Ellie ends finding Owen and Mel.
Okay.
And I think that's where that goes. And it's more of a lingering thing out there.
Yeah.
Anything from your thoughts on that?
I don't want to say because it's too much of a spoiler, but R.I.P. I'll just say R.I.P. to somebody.
I mean, we're talking spoilers for the game. I mean, you want
Okay,
to raise your hand
Jesse.
and Jesse, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's the cliffhanger.
Oh, with Abby, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where it ends at. Ellie
Yeah.
gets back, and I think I don't even know if it'll be like, okay, it's time to leave now type of situation. I think it's she comes back, and it's like, I fucked up, type of
Yep.
which she does. So,
Mhm.
other than that, I don't have too much. It's very interesting. I think next week's gonna be the best episode. Neil Druckmann directed it. And it's gonna break me.
I
It's gonna break
wonder
me.
I wonder if Tommy like tells her everything that happened in the flashback in this. And that's like ties him into this being like more of a like why Tommy's back. Like he promised Joel to
I
take
wouldn't.
care of
I
her.
wouldn't. I wouldn't mind. I still think it centers with Eugene.
Okay.
I'm not saying that Joel killed Eugene because of that,
Yep.
but I think he killed Eugene because he got infected.
Hmm.
That's the only thing.
Yep.
But I'm using the trailers. They are in the same outfits. Joel's in the same outfit when he's behind Eugene as in the argument with Ellie.
Okay.
This has to be the same day.
It has
Just
to be.
has to be. And he was a Firefly. They made that reference. Firefly buddies come into town. They mention something like whatever it may be. It could be that. And maybe she has some resentment for that. Maybe she thinks he killed fucking Eugene because of that, you know.
Hmm.
But I am very curious to see those flashbacks. I hope Tommy is in some of them. Um, last thing I want to mention from the game or ask you. So as Dina and Ellie have been on this journey together, what is the chances that Abby and Owen are more on the journey together instead of? I know she has Lev for the most part, but like, are they going to pair her with someone for day one mostly? I know she's with Manny, but
I feel
do
like
you
they
see
have
anything
to.
like?
As-
And then do you think Owen and Mel are together?
For their like that also has to be a thing. Like it's such a big part of the game that like I don't think you can take that out.
Yeah, like that's what I'm thinking. So it's just very interesting to me that they decided not to go hand in hand
I
and
know.
make the episode 60 minutes and show both perspectives. Day one, you could have done day one in 2 episodes. You could have done day two in 2 episodes. You could have done day three in 3 episodes, so on and so forth.
So that's why
Um,
I'm like, I'm wondering if like next season is like, episodes like to, I don't know how many they announced yet for season. Say
they
it's
haven't
like,
announced anything. They haven't
yeah,
announced
so
anything.
maybe it's 7 again. So for 5 episodes, it's all Abby, and then the last 2 episodes are Ellie again. Like, it seems like that might be the direction they're going. I mean, especially if they don't show Abby again.
Yeah, so let me, if I were to guess, I think, okay, you do episode one, introduce Abby, do a flashback, the whole flashback from the game. Episode two, you go into Abby's day one. Lev comes into the picture. Day two is episode three. Day okay, so then you get sorry, I'm like trying to do this on
No,
the
it's okay.
spot. So 6, 7. I think it would be 8. I think it's 8 episodes.
Eight
Because then you
episodes.
get I think you get one of Ellie at home.
Yeah.
California, California.
I don't even
Shows
think you can do all of that in the next season because they still have to have that, fight. So, and it's twice. So I don't know how, like, I feel like we're gonna get a fourth season. There's no way they can pack it all, especially if they just focus on Abby.
it depends how much they expand on the Seraphites.
Yeah.
100% it depends on how much they expand on the Seraphites and that war and
Hmm.
Isaac. And even Santa Barbara. Also, I want to ask you, do they even go to Santa Barbara? That's far.
They
That's
have to.
far. I mean, they changed stuff. They didn't go to Pittsburgh. They
That's
went to
true.
what? And so, do they change the location? But then you need the boat. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I am fascinated with
Yeah.
the choicing of that.
I feel like, but bringing up Santa Barbara, like that's such an important like wrap up to everything. So it's like maybe they do keep it somewhere out like in the Midwest, or like they don't go as far, West Coast. But that has to happen for like
Yeah,
everything to like
yeah.
culminate.
And I need John Goodman to play the guy who punches Lev in the face.
Yes.
So,
I love
either
John
way,
Goodman.
man. Let's jump into those live questions. Do you
Yeah.
have any final thoughts for the episode? Overall, I'm still at I'd probably give it a 9. I'd probably give it a 9. I think the episode was a little bit rushed after we discussed it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But overall, still a really good episode.
Hmm.
I think this story I will feel better once I can binge the entire thing from season 2 and 3.
Yep.
What
I
about
agree.
you? How are you
I
feeling on?
I agree with you. Sorry to interrupt. I was saying I agree with you 100%. I think like once we get this full story and see how they like how everything's changed and how it culminates, I think it'll make things better. But I'm really skeptical because there's just so much story in this game, and there's just not enough episodes and not enough time.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it feels that way. Again, maybe I watch it all by the end and I'm like, okay, I feel good. I feel good. I think it's hard. Like, if I wasn't a fan of the, would I like this?
Hmm.
And that's where I'm like trying to like separate because I had to
I
do the same thing with season one. There was stuff I had to separate, and I think season one is near perfect, honestly, in terms of stuff.
I'm with you. I think my issue is like I think I'm thinking too far ahead and
Yeah,
not
same,
and but everything that we've gotten so far, I honestly have liked. Like I loved the
same.
change of Jackson. Like that whole infected sequence was incredible. With them attacking Jackson, I've loved all the Dina stuff. So I think my issue is that like there's so much stuff that I'm looking forward to, and with the changes, it takes it out of me because it's like, oh, how is that going to happen now when this has changed? and
Yeah.
so my mind
No,
spirals.
I agree. I think that's kind of where I'm at too. So, either way, let's get into the live questions.
Yes.
Thomas Baker, what are your thoughts on the B2 setting? I thought it was great. I think we talked a little
Awesome.
about the production design. Fantastic. Probably one of the best developed things. Like you said, awesome as well. You just want to see the Rat King. That's it.
Yes, that's it. Honestly, I just love the whole like how the spores and like them molded into the wall looked. I thought that design was so cool.
And them breathing.
Yeah,
It's very cool. It's very eerie too.
it's super
I hope we
crazy.
see more of that this season. I hope we see
Mhm.
more of that. I hope it wasn't just like, here's the spores, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right. Here's a
So
little
I
Easter
wasn't
egg
because
too.
once I heard like why they didn't do it in season 1, I understood. I got it.
Mhm.
But let's bring more of it in. Leslie says, "Do you think we'll see Shamblers this season, or will they say that for season 3? Not this season, but
Definitely
next.
not.
I think if they're gonna do it, they'll do a season 3. But I also think like it's just a bloater. Like I've always thought, like the Shambler is a bloater that can just hurt you from long distance.
Mhm.
But I also think the fact that now they have the spores introduced bring me to more reason of getting Shamblers. Last thing I want to mention real fast from the game. Ellie's not taking a boat this season? No boat? That's
Guess
something
not.
that's something that should be in here, and I think that's probably part of the reason why it feels a little slow.
Yeah.
Someone asked, but what about Yara and Lev?
That's way later, isn't it? Anyway.
Well, if Abby were to show up in season in the finale, Lev should technically be there. So I think there's a chance we see Lev, but not Yara.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I honestly thought it was more like we would probably get them in next season, but it
That's where
does.
I'm more leaning towards, is that it'll probably be next season, but regardless. I wish we would have gotten Ellie saying how, oh yeah, I brought that up.
Mhm.
Do you think the Rat King will show up, or the line is just an Easter egg? I would be shocked if
It
the Rat
has to.
King is not in season 3. I'd be shocked. That's
Yep.
such a big I'm not saying she has to kill it. Trust
No.
me. Like they've talked about this. Like bloaters are hard to kill. They're gonna rip your head off.
Kaylee brought up a good point.
Oh, who did?
Kaylee?
Oh, Kaylee. I will get to that. I see. Yara and Lev haven't been cast yet. Definitely season 3. They hide
Right.
castings. Let me just say, Josh motherfucking Peck was in the last episode. So, who else is disappointed they didn't do the PSP scene? I gotta be honest, I was a little bit sad they didn't do that.
I don't
Do you
remember that
from the
scene.
game? Oh, so it's when she comes up under the water and she has the knife pressed against the wolf's neck, and she's playing the PSP.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I love that moment from the game. Nora tells Ellie she's in the aquarium. We talked about this. Next episode is going to hurt real bad. Yes, I agree.
I'm going to cry.
What did you think of the changed death? I like the game better with the pipe being parallel to golf club. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to why that change was a thing, personally. But again, let me see the whole thing.
Yeah.
You, what did you think?
I'm the same with you on that one. Literally the exact same. It just happened too quick, but you do feel her anger, and I like that.
Yeah. Leslie, what's something from the flashbacks you definitely want to see in the show besides the obvious spaceship scene? Just more of like just some of the meandering, the dinosaur stuff. Obviously, the hat, when he puts the hat on top of her, we see that in her room when she's walking around. So I imagine that has to be there. I think the biggest thing I want to see and very curious is, and I swear to God, if they rush through this, do not rush through the moment when Ellie finds out what Joel did. You just can't. You cannot rush that moment. That is, for me, one of the best flashbacks ever. There's also another flashback that I don't think we'll see for quite a bit, probably next season. But yeah, you?
I'm 100% on with you. We have to have the seat with them in the spaceship. Like that's like you. It's one of my all-time favorites, and it's just such a beautiful sequence between the two of them. So, but either way, I'm going to be devastated. I know this next episode is going to fucking break me.
Yeah, I think anyone who's ever dealt with loss, and having to like you relive those moments with them is gonna fucking hurt.
So I'm glad they didn't do it this week.
Yeah. Michael Entity. I'm driving back from San Diego and I pulled over to a gas station to watch the episode. You are a fucking dedicated person.
Yeah, legend.
I love that. I do the same shit. I'm not gonna lie, this is way back. I remember when Iron Fist season 1 came out. Don't ask why this is coming out parallel. So when the Netflix Marvel shows come out, I had a tradition that at midnight I had to watch the shows. I had to binge them, watch them, whatever. I do the same thing with Stranger Things as well. When Iron Fist was coming out, this was before the reviews were coming out. I don't think that nothing had come out for you. I just knew it was coming out at midnight. Well, my friend wanted to drive to California at like 11 o'clock at night. And I said, I'm not driving because I have to watch Iron Fist in the car. I finished almost the entire show like before we had gotten to where we were going in California. Yep. But I always think about that. Dedication was not worth it.
Not worth it.
I personally think with Nora and Ellie was better than the game. That's good. I like that you did. I didn't, but no. That's okay. Evil 1 finale probably ends with Jesse's fate. Yeah, I mean, that's what I think too. So.
Yeah.
Leslie, how do you think Eugene ties into the episode or the reveal? It feels like it's just going to be something bigger than just him being bit and Joel having to kill him. I mean, I think it is just that. But what do you think? Do you think there's a...
I think... it's going to be interesting, but I think Eugene's going to see Ellie get bit. Also, and that's how she finds out too. Like, there's like a whole conversation about what Joel did, but I think he's going to see her get bit, and he doesn't want her to him to tell everyone that she got bit or that she's immune.
Mm-hmm. And what if Eugene heard about what happened, but he doesn't know if it's Joel? He doesn't. Yeah. He just knows an immune girl was taken,
and finds out kind of what what's her face from this episode was like. Oh, you're the girl.
Yeah, which is such a good reveal. A good reveal. Leslie, I've always also been wondering about Abby and Owen. He didn't reveal Mel was pregnant in Jackson like he did in the game. I feel like that parallel is important for Abby's story. I think here's my thing. I think they're trying to make it more as a surprise that she's pregnant when we find out, which is a gut punch for Ellie.
Yeah.
I like that change, if that's a thing. I'd be shocked though if she's not pregnant. I'd be shocked. I say. You?
Yeah. No, she's definitely going to be pregnant. I don't think we get it to next season, though. I feel like they're going to drag it out like they did with Bella or Dina and Ellie. I think it's going to be a next season thing to kind of get us to care for them.
That is a true thing. And that's also another thing I'm wondering. I'm wondering if Day 3 is expanded on where next season will not start with Abby. It will start with Ellie still. Oh, man, I'm not excited for that discourse. Sergio asked, did they mention if Abby escaped her cell like in the game? I didn't hear anything. Did you? I didn't.
No.
Triu says, congrats on 55K. I don't think I'm at 55K yet. I think I'm almost there.
You might have just hit it, which let's celebrate.
Let's see. If I'm not, I'm going to be mad at you. Just kidding. Oh, shit, I did.
Let's go.
How the fuck did I hit 55K?
Congrats, bud.
Thanks. I wasn't even close. That's weird. Sweet. Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
That's cool. Go subscribe to Seth too. Everyone go subscribe to Seth.
Thank you guys.
On YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram.
Everywhere. It's all according to Seth.
Yeah, exactly. According to Seth. Sometimes I forget how your thing is spelt. So when I'm trying to find you, it usually pops up regardless, but
yeah,
I'll type in TOO two, the number 2. I'll just because YouTube, it's I hate scrolling, and then TikTok's ass too with it too. Sometimes when you're trying to find someone, anyways, what do you expect for them to go next? I have no idea.
Yeah, no idea.
Honest, this is they are either gonna follow the game or we're gonna be different.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Baker, do you think Mel will live or survive? She'll die.
Yeah.
I think you mean, will she live or die? She'll die. Yeah. She should die. Everyone should die. Yeah. Everyone should die. It's the last.
Every character. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone should die. Other than that, I'm going to leave the live stream up for another 30 seconds. Oh, okay. Here we go. just as everyone knows, I want at least 2 more questions. There's 17 people watching. 2 more great questions. If we don't get 2 more questions after we're done reading this, I'm just we're gonna say our goodbyes.
Yeah.
Friend Naha. Not even gonna try and say that. Do you think this game could work as a live action movie? No,
Absolutely
not even close. There's too much story to do a movie. There's a reason that the movie with Caitlin Dever never happened. Couldn't get figured out. Which, fun fact, do you know who was supposed to produce that?
Who?
Sam Raimi was going to be producing it.
Oh, that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah,
honestly.
they never locked a director, but he was going to be producing it. So very interested to see where this goes.
You know what? This just gives me an idea.
Huh.
What if Santa Barbara's a movie?
Maybe.
Or
I'd be okay.
I would be okay with that. Or The Island.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot they could do. There's
Yeah.
a lot they could do. I don't know, man. I'm really curious to see the viewership on next season.
Me too.
I'll say that. I love this question. Mr. YouTube Lover, are you more excited for Stranger Things Season 5 or Last of Us Season 3? I'm going to let you go first.
Stranger Things Season 5 for me. I freaking love that show so much. And I mean, depending on how, like Season 3, they're not going to be able to wrap up everything. So I think I'll be more excited for Season 4 of The Last of Us. But see, between the two, Stranger Things takes the cake for me. I'm ready to see that end.
I think you're still crazy in thinking they're going to do a Season 4. I think before this season had come out, I was thinking that they could expand into that. The pacing that they're going with, I don't think so, but I could be wrong. But I'm with you. Stranger Things Season 5. I love The Last of Us. I've said it. It's my favorite story in any video game or any medium, but I can just go play the game. I can just play the game. I have the game. I know where it's going to go. I'm interested more to see where it's going to go. Like that's kind of where I'm at now. And I love the show for what it is, even with my frustrations. But Stranger Things is fucking great.
Fantastic.
Put 2 aside. I think 2 is a decent season, but 1, fantastic. 3, I thought was even better. Then I got 4.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Maybe the best thing that Netflix has ever done.
I 100% am in line with you, and it was scary. Like, it was good. It was creepy.
Scary, but it's not even just the scariness. They're long. They weren't afraid to go long in the episode.
No.
2.5 hours. Fucking give me a movie, basically. So Stranger Things Season 5, I'm just excited to see the ending. Because I also have no idea what direction they're going. No idea. I could hate it. I could genuinely hate it. But if you told me at the start of this year, Zach, The Last of Us Season 2 is most likely not going to be your top 3 favorite shows of this year, I would have told you were fucking crazy. It's not. Not right now. It could change.
I agree with you on
but
that
I will
too.
say right now, like my number 1 show of the year is The Studio. The number 2 is, number 1 is Andor. Number 2 is The Studio, and number 3 is Paradise. This is like 4 or 5 to me.
I'm with you. I have The Pit in my top 3.
I need to watch. I need to finish it.
I love The Pit. I haven't started this newest season of Andor yet. I'm waiting till they're all out for some reason. But
No. That's a good way to watch it.
Okay, good. The Studio is my number 1 though. Like that show is fantastic. It is hysterical. It has everything I want. Paradise and then The Pit, or The Pit and then Paradise.
Yeah. So good. Hi, Zach. Why do you love The Last of Us? I don't know. It's one of those stories that hits from so many emotional levels. Like, there's a part 1 and part 2. The way that it deals with grief for both characters from both parts. The way that it deals with love. Because in the end of the day, it is the first story is about love. The second story is about revenge. And what the path of violence can take you to. And I like how Neil Druckmann tells stories in those, how he develops characters, and how nothing is ever cookie cutter. And I also like how both parts are completely different. One's a road trip and one's a revenge tale. I know you love it too, Seth, so I know that's very bare minimum. I actually have a video essay talking about my love for The Last of Us, the first part at least, and a review of the second game. So I just recommend to go check those out. But what about you, Seth? Anything else you can add to that?
Honestly, I'm the same with you. Like, I love the way that it looks at grief and loss, and how like our choices lead us down paths that might be the best, and then you kind of like you have this realization. I really love the story that was told in both those games, um, and it's just a beautiful story. There's not much more to say.
Yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog Bros also asked, "What would be your pitch if you were the one making Last of Us?" I wouldn't.
I
For
refuse
you?
that. I refuse that.
Yeah, yeah. Personally for me, I know there's been discussions about what a part 3 would be. I think if I were to tell a part 3, I don't know if I'd have Ellie be the main character per se, but I would definitely have her be a main person in the story, if that makes sense. Like, if part 1 you mostly played as Joel, part 2 plays Ellie and Abby, I'd have part 3 be another character that runs across Ellie's path. Something of that nature. You, if you were to pitch a part 3,
If I were to pitch a part 3,
or do you even want a part 3? A
I
lot
don't
of
even
people
want
don't.
to part. I love the way it ended. Like, I don't know like how they could even do a part 3 at this point to bring people back.
Yeah, no, for
I
sure.
I, I don't want this pressure.
Yeah, yeah. All right, looking for the last question. King B Johnson says, according to Seth and Zach Pope Seth the XIV. Okay, that's pretty
I
cool.
like it.
Amazing. We'll end on this question. Did The Last of Us show make you appreciate the games more? I don't know if it made me appreciate them more, but it makes me like want to play them again.
Yes.
I play them every year anyways, but it's my favorite stories I've told. I don't know how much more I can love a game. What about you, man?
I agree with you on that. I think there's things that I like about the show that like weren't in the game, but like the game was just so much longer. There was so much more going on with the game, so I don't know. I can separate the two, but I just the game's just it's always going to be my favorite over the show, I think.
100%. Well, that's where we're going to call it end on here. The season 2, episode 5, spoiler discussion with Zach and Seth. Cody should join us next week. Seth should be here too.
Yes.
Bring your tissues, bring your tears. We might also have another guest too. We'll see. Other than that, Seth, where can they find you out? What do you got coming up this week?
You can find me at According to Seth on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and on YouTube. And what I got going on this week, we got Mission Impossible, Bring Her Back, and I cannot wait for both of those. And as a horror fan, talk to me, scared the living shit out of me, and I haven't watched it since the first time I saw it, so I'm not ready for Bring Her Back at all.
Yeah, I feel that. I rewatched Talk to Me late last year, and I hadn't seen it since it premiered at Sundance, and nah, I
Yeah.
haven't even watched the trailer for Bring Her Back. So I don't even know what to expect. But anyways, I have Mission Impossible this week. Review will be up Wednesday when the embargo's up. I also have a ton of other Mission Impossible videos going up. I think one starts tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe Thursday. I can't remember. I have 3 little shorts that I have, which is like talking about the top 8 characters, top 8 villains, top 8 stunts. Almost done editing those, but regardless, I have all that. Final Destination I see Sunday. I'll probably do a small review for that, maybe a ranking depending on my like actual interest in doing it, but I will have a Mission Impossible ranking the following week. That is massive. Very excited. Might even do a spoiler discussion depending on like how reactionary I am to the entire thing. But other than that, that's about it from me. Make sure to go subscribe, I guess, this way to Seth. Follow him, do all that stuff. Follow over here as well. And of course, this is The Last of Us. And we'll see you guys later. So, have a great day.